Uganda is a good tourist destination. The focus for tourism in Uganda overall is flora and fauna, especially showcasing the mountain gorillas, the animal life, the bird watching, religious tourism, cultural tourism, but also there is food tourism, because we have all types of food in the world and they are organic. The interactive bird watching experience in Uganda will be exciting for you, because when you come to that part for the birds, you will touch, you will feel, and when you touch with your palms, the computers, the systems will show which bird you are, and then you'll know you have a friend which is a bird. Uganda for a long time and UAE have been partners, have been friends, and therefore when they have an expo like this one, we have to be here, and that's why we are here.
Connecting the world and minds, creating the future as the path that we desire. That's the theme of the World Expo that is taking place currently in the United Arab Emirates region. And guess what? Uganda is also on exhibition at the UAE, and we're so delighted to be a part of this World Exposition. Now, so many Ugandans have taken it to social media to bash the stall, the display, the exhibitions, and that is simply because they've taken a minimal part of the exhibition displayed to make such a big deal out of it. You've taken things out of context. And this morning, as we start off Good Morning Uganda, we thought it as our duty to actually bring you the full picture. The video you have just seen is the full picture of our full house, which is themed under right time, right place, as the President of Uganda did express it so rightly in his speech that he made at the exhibition when he was talking about Uganda. So far, if we are talking about the remuneration, an investment of 3 billion Ugandan shillings has so far under a week gotten us over 1 trillion shillings in rewards of investments pending assignments. Over the next course of weeks, we are expected to get over $4 billion US in terms of investment exchange, all simply because we made it the right place at the right time. Do you have the right information at the right time, and are you actually using it for the right things? That's a question that only you can answer. We have done our part, and we welcome you to the Pearl of Africa, which is Uganda. This expo does not come at a better time than when we are celebrating our 59th year of independence as a country, and so it causes us to smile, it causes us to be proud of the different facets that cause us to shine as a country. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga, and welcome to a brand new day in the Independence Week. As we start off the show, I'm not alone. I'm here with my colleagues, and I am joined by the birthday boy for today, 5th October 2021. He was born many years ago, like many years ago. But today we're privileged to have him with us. Happy birthday, Robert.
Oh, thank you, Priscilla.
How are you?
I'm very fine.
How do you feel?
I'm just grateful to the Lord. I'm just grateful to the Lord that I've lived to see so many things, and also I'm very grateful that I've lived at such a time.
Yes.
Such a time when even there are vaccines for COVID-19, such a time, of course, when there are regrettable incidences, like you've just talked about the expo going on.
Yeah.
You know, I've been watching, I've been looking at what is on social media, and one thing that comes to my mind is when we will love our country. Because some people deliberately have the right information. The right videos are everywhere showing how Uganda has a full house, full of everything to show in Uganda. It has one of the most perfect stores. But someone just picks just a picture with intent to taint the image of Uganda. And I'm like, oh Lord, when we love our forefathers of this country, love this country so much that they fought, they craved for independence. So when we have that love, that's why today is also World Teachers Day. And the theme is teachers at the heart of recovery of the education sector. Okay. But all this week, they are running on the theme, appreciate your teacher. When will you appreciate motherland Uganda than just bring it down?
That is a very good question. When will you appreciate your very own country? When will you be patriotic, even if it's just a picture of a basket? Trust you me, that basket is not found anywhere else in the world but in the Pearl of Africa. And it's your duty to actually promote it rather than bash it. Just because it's a normal thing in your home doesn't mean that it's not a fascinating thing in someone else's world. And that's what expos are all about, bringing the fascination of what we have to the rest of the world. Speaking of fascination, I'm also fascinated by the presence of my two other colleagues this morning. Good morning to you, Felix Nkunda.
How are you?
I'm fantastic, and how are you?
I'm all right myself. I'm glad that it's another beautiful day.
Okay, all right. Speaking of the spirit of tourism and also the expo, the Dubai Expo that we are in, as many people were bashing, we have just shown a full picture of, you know, the house that we have at the expo. What is your take in how people have decided to respond over the reality?
Well, of course, I would take sort of like a double approach. I know that it's wrong for people to make memes out of things that probably also have effect, the latter. But however, also that brings question into the people who are organizers. Even if it's something you want to only talk about, people not being patriotic and what, but what were these people thinking? Even if it was just part of the entire display, why was it like that in the first place? So I think we must create a bit of, you see, accountability is key for some of these things. As a matter of fact, if it was the right thing, it is right. If it was wrong, it's wrong. And you can't stop people from commenting, and you can't limit their opinions of how they see things. So I wouldn't blame the people much. I think for me, when people get an opportunity to do something, let them do it proper. Like the other video that I saw where MPs were making fun out of it. I don't know if you saw the video, that there's no one to receive us at the expo part of Uganda. There's no receptionist, there's no port welcome. So I think one member of parliament took the seat that now I'm the receptionist. What? For me, I find that quite gullible. Nevertheless, it's but it is what it is. It's what I can say.
All right, all right. The one thing that sometimes I feel like people take out of context is the word accountability. You want accountability in your own perspective, from your own understanding, and not from the organizers or the initiators or the program's perspective. And then that causes a certain demand that was not intended in the original place. Away from that, we are also joined by Nature, Weather and Climate Ambassador Molen Kenyana. Good morning to you, Molen.
She looks
How are you?
I'm fine. I am the ambassador for weather, nature, environment, everything regarding biodiversity, as I like to call it. But yes, a very good morning to you, a lovely family. That is Good Morning Uganda family, and it is a good morning. And what I liked about that video is the innovation that is in there. You get to touch the screen and then they tell you what bird you're going to, what bird you are. So I don't know which bird I would be. I think maybe the crane. If I touched, I'm just thinking, I'm imagining I could be the crane.
Do you want me to guess for you? Do you want to touch and I tell you?
I don't know whether you like me. You give me the bird.
You touch, I tell you, don't worry.
I have to be in Dubai to do that. But I wish that could actually come here. I like to move around the country, and if I could find something like that in any one of our tourist destinations, I would be happy and glad to. Especially most areas that are really good with birds, if that could still be there even after the expo, that is nice to attract tourists to these areas, and it is one thing you really want to explore and know which bird you are. So I think most of that should also come back home here. But also I want to also add on what Felix was saying. We need to do more. Yes, there are things that we can ignore and talk about the good, but the fact that there is something that is not adding up should be addressed, and I think it is something that we need to look into.
So what is that thing that
avoid.
is not adding up for you?
Well, mostly on what was going on across social media, on how some of the items were displayed in the expo. So that is something that we also look at and be like, okay, we're not supposed to be bashing it, but it is out there already.
Allow me to ask you another question.
Yes.
Would you have done a better job?
Sorry?
Would you have done a better job?
Can I move the question to
No, but I think,
No, it is yours. It is yours. Would you
Priscilla.
have done? Wait, would you have done a better job?
Very much. That's a matter of fact. In fact, that's not even a question.
And
to
so,
even
if you would
ponder
have done a
about.
better job, I recommend that you wait for the next Dubai Expo. Get on to the planning team.
Whoever
and then
did the
bring
job,
your
Priscilla,
wonderful
did not
ideas.
do it for themselves. It was
Yeah.
to represent
Priscilla.
Uganda,
And they
and
did
we
a
are supposed to
commendable
question.
job.
That is not
You're not-
commendable in the
you
sense of
question
commendable.
and you're the very
They had
person
all this time
who
to
talks
prepare.
about
Come on.
the planning process, not the accountability process.
But I think there's a point we are missing out in all this. I think where Priscilla comes from is that, you see, when you look at the entire store or the entire exhibition bit of Uganda and what was portrayed to come up with that negativity is that someone deliberately chooses, like you come and just pick these Hallelujah bottles and say, this is UBC Studio. You leave out the rest, and that's why we are seeing the bashing. But if the entire video was shown or the entire picture was shown, it would mean something different. All that is not being shown. What more do you want if it's an
The
expo?
fact- the
When
fact
you look
that
at
you're
the stores
trying
of
to
other
explain.
countries, I've been privileged to look at these clips. I mean, we are better than a couple of countries there. We are doing good. You compare others. So that is the only problem, that our country, we've gone to levels of looking for negativity, not the good.
Were they lying?
No,
Wasn't it
no,
part
Robert.
of the
This
expo?
is an expo that you have
International.
planned for. It has even been. There is
Compare
a
with
day that
other
is saying
stores.
Uganda.
You don't have to
It's a
compare.
national
Because
day.
you can-
Make
Because
it.
there's what we call basic or average. When you compare other stores that are there at the expo,
Little boxes,
average
some-
level, you will see that this
But
is
also,
what is happening.
I wouldn't recommend comparison because we're not the same countries. We don't have the
But,
same
you know, there's what
gifts.
we call an
We don't
average.
have
This
the same
was
we below?
our
display.
chance to shine.
And
Make
we have
everything
shown.
out
What don't
there
you
in a
like
good way.
there? What
So
exactly? You have seen the video. What exactly don't you like there?
So do you want to tell me that these guys who actually did that kind of display were just caught off guard, or they just,
Probably
you
it
know,
was Photoshop.
More or less.
was
The
it
quest-
Photoshop?
The question is,
you're leaving Uganda, you have all these.
the question is, you have seen
Materials
the video
that
for
you display.
yourself. What have you not liked there?
You see.
Oh no,
you
there is a
see.
lot to like about Uganda.
And then
what
you're
we're talking
contradicting
about.
yourself.
Yep.
These are the Ugandans we are talking about, right on that side. And this debate does not end because we are imagining, you're comparing yourselves to a Dubai nation that is far, far different from who we are and our identity. And the point of these expos is to bring our identities to the rest of the world, not to copy and paste other worlds, not to copy and paste other exhibitors and how they've done their thing. No, it is to bring our own heritage to the rest of the world so that they
Bring our
see
own boxes.
what we have. And that is exactly what they did. And they did a commendable job. And for me, it's a thumbs up. But as we continue,
you?
of course, we get to look at other stories that have come out of the Dubai Expo alongside other local stories that have taken center stage in the last 24 hours. Equally on the international scene, and there's floods that continue to gutter in certain parts of Uganda. Starting off with the local stories.
And we will begin with issues regarding the United Arab Emirates and movements of Ugandans there, where President Museveni has said government is strengthening laws governing the movement of people outside the country. He was responding to concerns by Ugandans living in United Arab Emirates on the increasing number of Ugandans being trafficked to the United Arab Emirates. This was during a meeting at St. Regis Hotel in Abu Dhabi.
Addis Ababa for the swearing-in ceremony of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed for a new 5-year term in office. The swearing-in ceremony is being held as part of the first day of the Ethiopian House of People's Representatives' new 5-year term. Abiy's ruling party, Prosperity's Party, won a landslide victory in the national elections held in June. Ahmed was first appointed as the country's prime minister in April 2018. The president left Abu Dhabi earlier after a 3-day working visit, during which he presided over the celebrations of Uganda National Day at the Dubai Expo 2020 in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. The president also met and held bilateral discussions with the Crown Prince and leader of Abu Dhabi, and also met the leader of Abu Dhabi in addition to meeting and wooing with prospective investors.
Back home, Uganda Airlines has launched commercial operations to Dubai in the United Arab Emirates using the recently acquired Airbus A330-800 Neo aircraft. The flight UR444 departed Entebbe International Airport at 11:55 for Dubai with 71 passengers, 30 tons of cargo, and was flagged off by the State Minister for Transport, Fred Byamukama.
Back home, police has revealed the reckless driving while on the road has spiked an increase in road traffic accidents, with over 1,000 cases registered in the month of September. An employee of driving license system has been arrested for issuing permits fraudulently, as Ivan Kahwa reported, a pastor in Jinja having been arrested for aggravated human trafficking days after government allowed for the resumption of places of worship. And finally, Prime Minister Robin Nabanja visited Ntoroko district to assess the impact of floods on residents, as well as find a timely and long-term solution to resettle the affected victims who were rendered after Lake Albert claimed its territory. At least over 6,000 residents have been affected by the floods. While addressing the residents, Premier Nabanja asserted that government will purchase land for the affected and empower the affected with fishing nets.
Well, now looking at international stories, we'll start with the story of the Pandora paper, where we see world leaders coming out to deny wrongdoing after the leaks. Now, several world leaders have denied wrongdoing after featuring in a huge leak of financial documents from the offshore companies dubbed the Pandora paper. The 12 million files also came out to constitute the biggest such leak in history. The Russian President Vladimir Putin and Jordan's King Abdullah II bin Al Hussein are among the 35 current and former leaders linked to the files. Both have issued statements saying they have done nothing wrong. Jordan's royal prince said it was not unusual or nor improper that King Abdullah owned property abroad. And leaked documents show the leaders secretly spent more, at least 7 million, that is pounds, or 100 million US dollars on a property empire in the UK and US since taking power in 1999. The Crimean spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, meanwhile, questioned the reliability of the unsubstantiated information after the details had been leaked about their wealth. Now, global airline industry sees at least 201 billion loss there in COVID-19. The airline losses from the coronavirus pandemic are set to surpass 200 billion as travel curbs weigh on corporate and long-haul demand well into the 2022. Now, according to industry's main lobby, carriers are post a collective deficit of 11.6, that is US billions next year, and the International Air Transport Association said this on Monday in Boston at an annual meeting. Now, the trade body also increased its loss estimate for this year and revised upward the shortfall for 2022. Now, the combined 201 billion is net losses over the pandemic. Brighted period escalated also the same from the beginning of 2019 up till later next year. Now, of course, also in international news, we'll be looking at Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram back after outrage. Social media services, Facebook, WhatsApp and Instagram are back and running after an outage that lasted almost 6 hours. Facebook says the company says the cause was faulty configuration changes, and all three services are owned by Facebook and could not be accessed over the web or on smartphone apps. Now, Down Detector, which tracks outage, said it was the largest failure it had ever seen, with at least 10.6 million problem reports around the world. The service went down at about 16 hours GMT, with users beginning to gain access to the sites at around 22 hours GMT. In a statement on Tuesday, Facebook said that the fault configuration change affected the company's internal tools and systems, which complicated attempts to resolve the problem.
Well, also in more news, we look at religious leaders plead for rapid climate action at COP26. Dozens of religious leaders appealed to governments to commit to ambitious targets at the upcoming UN climate conference, which has been described by scientists as the last chance to act meaningfully to halt global warming before it's too late. The call for urgent action was echoed on Monday by imams, rabbis, patriarchs, and reverends who shared how their faith traditions interpreted the emergency, many insisting religion and science must act together to save the planet. Faith and Science, an appeal for COP26, was the latest initiative to rally momentum and outrage before the October 31st to November 12th summit in Glasgow, Scotland, that experts say is a make or break chance to curb greenhouse gas emissions. I call on all young people, regardless of their religion, to be ready to fight against any action that damages the environment or increases the climate crisis, said Grand Imam Sheikh Ahmed Al Tayyib of the Al Azhar Mosque in Cairo, Egypt.
Is also taking their part in actually causing change for climate, being advocates for change in terms of how climate is managed, nature is managed. But away from that, we want to find out from you. Yesterday evening was a hard evening for all of us, I know, because when people load data, the initial reason as to why they're loading data is to, be on social media. And when Facebook wasn't working, Instagram wasn't working, you did have a lot of people going haywire. WhatsApp was not working, messages are not loading, neither are they going. And I know so many people turned off their phones, switched them back on, even bought more data bundles, thinking that maybe their data bundles had expired. Others were blaming the telecom companies, but it was a strange one. So Felix Nkunda, from there we do derive a poll question.
Well, of course, we would want to share our opinions with our viewers out there to tell us, how did you manage this social media? Is it called an outrage? Attack?
Attack, by the way.
Attack. Upscale. How did you manage this whole social media? I mean, so what?
It was a trying moment.
Molen has put it. How did you manage the social media trying moment?
Couldn't help.
Did you feel lonely?
Yeah.
Did you lose your senses? Did you feel far from your friends?
Is it comparable to power tracking?
Exactly. What would you compare with it? What was this feeling like?
Check on people. I know.
By the way,
mentally disturbed.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Well, for me, it was more than a blessing.
I've gotten addicted to this kind of social media, and it's only, you can assume there are a lot of people that had to actually check in with their therapist and be like, I am not doing well.
And when Molen talks about that, actually yesterday, I was like, okay, this is the damage, because now everybody in the house, you had a moment to chat and get to know, because every time...
Wait, just wait. Which part is the damage? That the social medias were off, or that the house now had a moment to have a conversation?
Had a moment to have a conversation.
That was the damage.
No, that wasn't that. Because this is what happens. You get home, oh, the kids stab. Madam, everyone is so much on their phone, and definitely I also go to my phone. So this time, things are not working. I had to call a colleague, she knows herself, and ask her, Priscilla, what is happening?
Really?
Yes.
Meanwhile, yes.
Yes, I called her.
he
Yeah,
had
even
called.
though, but
I looked at the phone and I was like, I know why Robert is calling. Robert, it's okay. It is the world problem, and there's nothing you and I can do about it. Sleep.
and guess what? Guess what happened?
Have a conversation with your
was
family.
because for the first time, and I'm very serious, in a long time, is when at least now everyone was like, hey, so we can.
You're there.
You're there, because there's always been, I'm on my phone, she's on her phone, Gavin, they're all on their tabs, and you're like, eh? Until someone said, anyway, I'm going to sleep. Good night, good night. So this time I was like, okay. So this is the damage social media has done.
Speaking
here.
of Good Morning, the things that we enjoy every single morning here in Good Morning Uganda.
This is the magical drink. That is Hallelujah ginger tea and Hallelujah turmeric drinks. These drinks will boost your immune system, because what is hard to find at the same time and put together to boost your immune system has been condensed for you in this small bottle. So just go and get this drink at only 1,500 from any store, and you'll be able to boost your immune system.
Actually, I had to call the person who I buy phones from, and I'm like, I think my phone has a problem. No, honestly. And I think he knew what the problem was. And yeah, because I had booted the phone like 7 times, and I'm like, okay. So I had to call the guy. I'm like, what's I going to say against him? And I think because what it is like, I think at what work and I can't say Samsung. I'm like, enjoy it out of it. Honestly and truly, if I had like someone had to tell me like at around 8 or 9, like okay. Then I called the guys like, oh, I tried to take it. Then I just see mojeta.
Twitter was on, so
Now,
other socials
I
were on.
never used any of
couldn't
those.
really
Me, I was
explain how
quick to
this
go to
particular
Twitter, and then I checked the hashtag going WhatsApp down. So when I realized mine was not
Apparently.
working, I just went to Twitter and then saw what was going on. I thought maybe it's the networks. So it would be on Twitter, people posting, you know, Airtel or MTN or whatever.
So for us, we never used Twitter. Well,
that's
only
when I
you're
saw
working
Facebook
here,
down.
maybe. Yeah, TikTok,
So
what?
now someone else
TikTok,
actually
Felix,
made a comment and
come
said,
on.
what
They
more
use-
is going on in Uganda? There's something they don't want us to know. And so that's how interesting it was. Anyway, so we want to hear from you. Unfortunately, because of the current situation, you're going to have to send an SMS for this morning. Downsize a little bit.
It's not yet back.
Send
Oh, it's
it
back.
back.
It's back.
Send- yeah, but we would like you to
Just
use
to
your
be sure.
SMSs also.
So you see how
want us
people
to go
become
back to
slaves
that.
to these
If it
things.
can go through for you, send us a WhatsApp. If it can't go through, even an SMS is good enough. We want to hear from you. What was your reaction last night when the socials, Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp, actually, you couldn't access them? How did you react? And we just want to laugh with you, really. As the morning does gear on into a 7 o'clock hour, we are going to be having a celebration of World Teachers Day and look at the contribution of teachers to our economy, our education system, the future of Uganda, and also, you know, compare it to where we were 59 years ago and where we are today. Has there been a progressive growth in this particular area? We'll find out in our 7 o'clock hour. For now, we'll leave you with the wonderful, soothing voice of Don Moen for the song of the day.
mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Central Points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
Vaccinated today so we can get closer to the normal way of life. Echa COVID-19 chija kugwa.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175 *94# to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better, automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94# to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175# and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning once again. It's a brand new day, 5th October 2021. As we step into a Tuesday morning here on Good Morning Uganda, we get to sit alongside birthday boy. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga, alongside the birthday boy Robert Kirabo and Felix Nkunda, who's
the birthday best man.
The birthday best man, so that would make me the one, the birthday matron.
Flower petal.
Flower
petal handler.
Flower girl.
This girl who throws petals. This petal bearer. Is it something like that? Yes, the petal bearer. The girl who comes.
Things of today have changed so much.
I know, like they gave us a whole list of people. I'm like, I don't know.
And they must be there.
I'm like, there's a petal bearer, a boy and a girl, the kids who come. Then there's
ring bearer.
Now the entourage has about 16 people. I'm like, are we bringing the queen?
You know the most interesting part there is when they're going to throw that flower and the girl that are not yet married, Diane, who gets it, then your wedding is next.
And guess what the boys are doing? Like, you know what? Don't even make a mistake of getting close to that flower.
Are you serious? The boy that she has come with warns her.
Like, the chick is going to grab the flower, the guy is pushing the kid to
okay. All right, happy birthday once again. This is really us saying happy birthday. And we're so delighted to work with you as we get to celebrate World Teachers Day today. We get to look at the theme, which is teachers at the heart of recovery of the education sector. Now, I want to first put my colleagues to a challenge and first reminisce with us about your favorite teacher in school and why they were your favorite teacher. I know Felix and Kamuga Steven have a particular teacher they always talk about. Yes. So true? Felix, I'll start with you.
No. Okay. For nursery, there is a lady called Teacher Naiga in Nalwoga. Yeah, Teacher Naiga. She's still there. She's still there. In fact, that school is known for two things. I remember that time my mama used to pay, I think, pancakes for a month for me. So I think the lady was called Mama Mukuye or something. So you would pass by, they give you 3 pancakes, you put in that round container. Then you go and you buy juice. You used to have those with juice for 100. You put in a bottle. So the headmistress, Madam Naiga, would be waiting for you in the station. Of course, if you cry, what, you know. But also, when I was in primary, I didn't have many best teachers. Actually, the one who would have been the best one was Mr. Sewungu Gonzaga Gonza. They would want us to recite his name. Now he's a member of parliament. You know, who would say, Manyaga Maleyo, finish all my names. Good morning, Mr. Sewungu Joseph Gonzaga Gonza. I'm like, you know, and then he would say, like, the people behind, good morning, Mr. Sewungu Joseph Gonzaga Gonza. So,
okay.
But in secondary, Mrs. Chiwumulo, and of course, Miss Rose Zinga, who was our headmistress. She was quite a lady, I think, for me. And of course, there's a lady who really had my back. She was my mom in time I was in Lubiri. Yes, I think I don't know Nalwoga. Remember, she was called Nalwoga. Remember, I didn't pay school fees at one point, and they made her pay my school fees, but because I sneaked and did exams without the permission. So I think that was for me so heart-touching.
Okay, all right. Robert, talking about teachers as we celebrate teachers, which teachers do you want to celebrate?
Well, I'll begin with my teacher, that is Auntie Chiwuwa, because she really owned this nursery that was along Entebbe Road. But one important thing is, the first time I went to school, I think I was so used to my parents. So when my dad drove off, you know, that cry. So I was like, you want to chase the car? And she kept on sweet talking me. That's what I remember, a bit of it. Then one time, there was a teacher that really treated me at nursery level in a very bad way. And maybe because she was the owner of the school, she came and at least spanked that teacher. And I felt, okay, I'll go to school, I'm safe. Then primary, there was Madame Namukasa, that is Nakasero, and she was a unique teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, she had this passion. She was so passionate about knowing of each one of us was, and usually we had bamboo. I don't know if Shimoni had them, but bamboo sticks just at the gate of the entrance of the school. So when your parent dropped you and they are late, you arrive late because it was our parents to bring us. You arrive late. So
Not all of us, Robert.
Okay, not all of us,
Yeah.
but okay, some. So I had a teacher called Mr. Serwaniko. That one would cane you endlessly. But Madame Namkasa, if it was her and she was on duty, she would pardon you. So you would not go with bamboo canes everywhere. Then A-level, yes, I think I would go with Mr. Mohozi. He was one of the teachers. Chitende. This guy was teaching religious education, but he was so passionate, and he would tell you, for you, I see something in you, though it never happened, what he was saying.
He was telling you?
That's what I was saying in me. It never happened.
What was he seeing, Robert?
A minister in God's government. So,
in God's government.
In God's government, a minister in God's government. I'm not forgetting Reverend Mpaji, also the chaplain.
You're not yet dead, so trust you me.
So I can still be a minister in God's government.
Yeah. Okay. All right. For me, there are quite a number of teachers that made a mark on my life. But one teacher was called Mr. Lukunya. Mr. Lukunya was my teacher, science teacher, from P4 all the way to P7. And he initially, I was anti-science, and he made me have a certain revelation of how to understand science. And he started to make me fall in love with science. He would give extra classes, and then he would always call my parents to check up on me with the homework that they give us over the weekend. And so Mr. Lukunya became my personal teacher. So even when I went to high school, my parents knew that every day we get holidays in high school, they must take me back to Kapala Parents so that I say hi to Mr. Lukunya. Yes.
Mr. Lukunya, thank you for...
We're appreciating teachers. It is all about, this week is appreciating your teachers.
Thank you.
So
Mr. Lukunya was primary, you see?
We are appreciating Mr. Lukunya at primary being a special teacher.
Yes.
Mr. Lukunya.
Okay.
I like the name though.
There was Mrs. Kato, who became the principal at Kampala Parents. And to date, first of all, teachers don't change. They look the same. They never grow old. Yes. And so maybe Kirabo should change your...
It's the only blessing.
I had one of the teachers called Mr. Sansa. I don't know if he's still there in Deji.
Okay.
But he's the first teacher I saw aging so fast. But most teachers, But of course, she had a challenge. But most teachers never age.
Yeah, Mrs. Kato, there was a disciplinary case, and so she called me in, and then she had to first give me a lecture, help me understand where this case is coming from, and as to why they're going to apply the kind of punishment that they're going to apply to me. And from that day on, we became best friends also with Mrs. Kato. Even at functions, like I just see her and I light up and I go and say hello. Then in high school, we had our head teacher, Mrs. Chisarari. Mrs. Chisarari was a very strict woman, but Chisa, we used to call her Madame Chisa. Very strict woman, but very loving at the same time. Like, she was extremely strict and extremely loving at the same time. If wrong was wrong, she was going to deal with it ardently. And if it was right, she was going to praise and shower and, you know, do all the good things. So to those teachers, we get to celebrate you, but all teachers really across the world, we get to celebrate you, and we say thank you so much for having raised all of us. We're here simply because of the education system. Now, we want to look at them being at the heart of the recovery for the education sector. It's under total lockdown right now. We do have a campaign drive that is on for teachers so that it can facilitate quickened opening of schools. But while we do have that on table, let's look at the plight of teachers during the pandemic, what they've had to go through, what they've had to give up, and the challenges that they're currently facing. Starting with you, Felix.
Oh yeah. You know, in the morning when you guys said we'll be looking at this, I sort of like my mind ran a bit far, and I'll be honest, and the only things that came to my mind was pain. I'll be honest, and I don't think it makes sense for me to try and sugarcoat and try to make things in as much as I wish everything was better. Between you and me, it is in this time that the plight of teachers has been exposed most. I think, and I stand to be corrected, if there's any other profession that has been shamed during the pandemic, I don't know better than teachers. I know, as a matter of fact, all of us who have gone through systems of education, and there are many, I must say, don't stand in a better place than what our teachers have contributed to us. For everything that this country has become, big, small, I see people here, you've seen the president applaud what you want to call frontline workers, in terms of medical officers, in terms of people, even you people, the journalists, even anyone who's been on the front line, you would trace them back to the efforts of a teacher somehow. But do you know the most painful of this is that in that equation, there's no benefit for a teacher. You know, you talk about a doctor, they have been tremendous, talk about nurses, talk about Manyanga, whatever. They are good, and everyone is talking about them, but there is no benefit that works backward. We have seen teachers becoming border. Not that being a border man is bad, and that I say with out of respect. It's a way of life. It's a way of work. Not that being a bricklayer is bad, but you know, the humiliation that comes with being a teacher most recent is going to speak tremendously into how the number of this professional will dwindle. Because the evidence is all over our eyes. It's over. Can you imagine? And I want to thank the teachers, by the way. Categorically, I want to thank the teachers that even in the most pressing times, they didn't lose themselves. And for me, that's classical. That amidst all these things, they have taken their money. The president gave them money. We don't know who took it. We don't. It's okay.
You're being told
it's closing. Not okay. You cannot say it's okay.
Well, do you know why I'm saying it's okay? Because the person who should be cracking the whips, people think it's okay. Who in this parliament discussed this issue? Let's be honest. As you said earlier, they're discussing Dubai Expo, the boxes of salt and whatever. Not that they're not important, but where is the heart of the people and the mind in terms of issues of teachers? That's what I'm saying. It's okay because everyone seems
they're willing to storm out of parliament
because the arrest, but no one
opposition leaders, but no one.
Can you imagine if the
Honorable
Martha Simpuga brought that matter and said, "Let's walk out. Teachers are dying. teachers basikabijibya tax, and not that okusikabijibya tax is bad, but there are people
these are professionals that should be practicing
who are made for that.
Yes.
But amidst all these things, and no wonder teachers are teachers. In fact,
Once
they have proved
yeah.
the caliber of the profession. I have not seen teachers march to parliament. I have not seen them march through
demonstrating.
I have not, and that is the quality of a teacher. I remember first we went to partly UPE schools in Shimoni here. We used to have teachers who are not very well paid. Now you would see a teacher X in an old shirt, but always ironed, with a very old shoe, by the way, but always polished, in a very furnished, but always ironed well. Now, that is a teacher. Even when they have been tried, and by the way, they have not been tried by COVID, they have been tried by us. Us, the products. Because how many people are in government that have been told? Look at these guys in parliament who are all over getting cars of 200 million, money, allowance after allowance. They have been tried. It is us who have forsaken them. Just like the Bible said, you remember when I used to, and this is what I believe, that the greatest time of pain for Jesus was when he was on the cross. This is what my theology and my knowledge of the Bible, that when he said, my God, why have you forsaken me? He felt like, and I've not entirely given theology to the letter of the Bible, but I feel that this is the only time he felt deserted. And this is how teachers feel today, because none of us, it is good, Priscilla has talked about, and you only talked about 3 or 4 because the time was limited.
I'd written a list of 10.
And if Robert starts to tell you the golden moments,
yes.
Some of us, we were cantankerous. But these guys, they are so patient. Some of us, by the way, were, and when I say cantankerous, I mean cantankerous. Me, I was among the best people always in school. But every time they read my name on Friday, I was never in school. Yet in the morning, I was there. Now, the headmaster kept on asking, but do you know now, that kind of patience and matches for
Tolerance.
all of us. But what have we done? As we celebrate this, they're talking about teachers being the source of reviving what we have a bigger role to do. These guys have done their part. They have offered themselves. What has society done? In fact, it is painful, it is sad that we look at issues of teachers like loosely. At one point, we will not be able to guarantee the future of this institution.
Then I move the question to you, Robert. What can we do as a society? What can we do as government to be able to uplift the spirit of teachers right now, because of their current state? They're not having employment, except for the ones that are under government, whose paycheck continues. The rest, actually, there's the story that I was reading here of Mary Namitala, and I quote, "I'll never go back. Uganda schools at risk as teachers find new work during COVID." And she states that she last heard from her school last March 2020, and the quote was, "No more payments until when schools open." So she has been forced to look for another source of funding for her family. She is a representative of so many teachers, especially those that are in rural areas that have been pushed into other forms of employment to be able to put food on the table, survival being for the fittest. How then do we actually change that state?
Well, first I want to thank all members in this noble profession, which is teaching. I want to thank them for their conduct during this trying moment, because it's only trying moments that you can know the true picture of a human being. How they have handled the situation, I want to say kudos to all teachers. Thank you for being exemplary. Now, how best? First, let's begin with something very simple that even they have chosen. This entire week has been the Teachers' Week. Of course, they are celebrating the day-to-day, but because of COVID, the main celebrations were supposed to be at State House. They'll happen on the 12th because His Excellency is not around. But let's first appreciate these teachers. You know, before even you look at finances or what,
just sing a song for teachers.
And I don't want to sing a song, but just appreciating them, letting them know that you're special people. You've done so much. We hold you in high esteem. Then second, their biggest challenge now is finances. Finances, because why are we talking about teachers now? Is because it is the profession that has been out of business from maybe the 20th of March 2020. So how do we address their financial challenge? When the president came out and gave these teachers money, when we see how later it turned into being a revolving fund, that's the private teachers, and now
then
we
you must
see
be in a group.
You must be in a
yet
group.
They are already
You're
in a
saying this
national
nonsensical.
union.
Yet there are groups. Felix and people watching us. I've had artists
that have just come up.
I've had musicians
and they are given money
that go somewhere in just a couple of days. There are very many actually. They are given money. So how best can we expedite the process of financial assistance? Because they are paying rent, they have families to feed on. So how do we get to that?
They have medical bills to cover.
COVID-19
has not treated them
then
well.
Then look at the psychosocial factor of it. You know, we are expecting schools are going to open up. Let them get vaccinated. Then we open up schools. But you see, the teacher you had 2 years ago is not the teacher you're going to have today. Government, Ministry of Education and Sports, let's look at this element. Okay. You're coming back with a teacher is coming back to school when a wife divorced because the situations were no longer bearable.
Or eloped.
When the husband quit because he couldn't fend and they had all this, and now schools are opening, this very teacher is coming back. And on another sad note, this very teacher is coming back to teach a child who is now a parent, who is now a father, to teach a child who has learned how to make money. He has been running here and there, maybe selling this, selling that. So if we don't look at that element, then teachers being at the heart of the recovery of the education sector is something we cannot achieve. 3 areas we must look at: the financial element, the psychosocial element, and ensure that now the teachers are going to come back and look at. Then finally, still on issues of teachers, I think we need to prioritize teachers. The teachers of Uganda for a long time, their money seems to be hard to find. I don't know why. When they call for increase in salary, for the teachers it is very hard. When they do this, we must understand that teachers play a very vital role in this country. We are all here because of these people.
Thank you so much. You brought up something, you're opening a can of worms, but before I look at that can of worms, we are looking at an education sector that is also evolving. Because of the COVID-19, it has brought to light there's so many different ways that education is now going to start looking like, especially in the aspect of ICT. And we're seeing in these current times, those that can afford have taken education to another level. Students are having their classes online, exams are happening online, teaching is happening online. That is where we are going. But we're looking at a group of people that have not had that adaptability, especially looking at the training centers where they come from. ICT has not been one of those elements or contents to actually employ them with, so that they can be able to service the future of education. So how do we deal with that gap that is going to be realized?
The changing trends. You see, all these things work together. And they must all start somewhere. Teachers are just a piece of the entire education sector. And for all they can do is to find the space to fit. Now that space must be provided by the steerers, which are government, or if you want to cast it down to ministry. How is the education crafted in this country? It's not determined by teachers. And clearly, if you wake up one day and say, now we are going to go online, put the facilitation there, like how they brought the new curriculum. They had to take them what we call continuous courses, refresher courses and all that. All they have to do, and for now, by the way, even that point has not been proven, because we got confirmation, I think a couple of days from the Minister of Education, who came and said, no, the effect is not as much as you think it is. We are going to get back to the stance and what. So we have not reached that point where we have for them to change, because you may not even want to open that conversation, because the people you want to open it to don't have motivation to even go there.
And away from motivation, even what is needed is not yet still available in Uganda. Look
Priscilla,
at
you have
broadband coverage.
This country.
Yes.
An average school of Uganda may not have enough benches, like bench, you know what the bench is, like where you sit, may not have enough classrooms, an average class or an average school may not have enough teachers. So before we even open the discussion, because if we may not limit our discussion to Kampala. Even if you want to come to Kampala on a spectrum of 100 schools, you find that probably only 10 may be qualifying. So the problem is a bit still bigger. The issue of education, and by the way, we are so blessed as a country. No wonder we never stop to thank God that even amidst all these problems, somehow we have the best in terms of the teaching, even the students. So we must know what we have, and we know what to bite according to, you know, how the teachers, teachers are also funny people. They used to tell us
idioms.
I remember one of the teachers used to say us, like, before you swallow a seed of a mango, know the circumference of the exit. That if it goes in, can it come out? Because the pain may actually be when it is coming.
Okay, all right. And finally, we do have the TTCs, teacher training centers, who are now, of course, we have more teachers now, but that means that the TCs have not increased, and yet we have to attract more to be able to bridge the gap that has been created. Because trust you me, the likes of Mary Namitar are not going to turn their backs around to come back to the teachers, to teaching. So we have a teaching gap right there. How do we actually solicit for that gap to be closed by the time of reopening of schools?
Well, what is interesting is that we have so many teachers that have also been out of employment. That they are qualified, but they are not having meaningful employment. So for me, my own worry is not lack of teachers when schools reopen. We have more than enough teachers in this country, but it's all about absorption rate. How do we have enough schools that are opening and can absorb the teachers? As many are moving out, many are entering, but the only challenge would be the schools that are not going to operate again.
Okay.
Priscilla,
something so painful.
Do you know at one point I bypassed my teacher, and I think, do you know the pain of seeing a teacher on a border? Like, Uganda. Do you know the feeling of such an insult? It's something I just remembered. I'm like, and this guy was a chemistry and biology teacher.
Yes.
Nigga was on a bajaj ngaita about. I'm like,
We are looking at them at the heart of the recovery of the education sector.
That is very true. Now, speaking of the heart of recovery, looking at where we stand as far as vaccination for the teachers' drive is concerned, as of the 27th of September, we've had that percentage of first dose recipients moving up by 5%, and that is now standing at 269,445 teachers that have received their first dose. And for second dose, we do have 102,418 teachers that have received this second dose. Please, dear teacher, because of the love that you have shown towards the education sector and the willingness for you to actually go for vaccination so that schools can be reopened, so that children can come back to school, so that the system eco-wise can actually continue stimulated in the current times. Let us work together, and we implore you to continue going for your vaccinations. Equally, students above 18 years of age also, please go and get yourself vaccinated. For now, we move to the tablets.
Before a teacher slaps you very well.
I smile when I think of you, Uganda, my home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda, my home. Oh, my Uganda.
I know, with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home. On my heart, mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey mama,
my Uganda.
MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever made. Finding a good place to watch football was never easy, but it was costly until James discovered something big. Now he can finally enjoy the benefits of homegrown advantage with a decoder and 1 month of GoTV value. For just 25,000 shillings, enjoy the world's biggest leagues and cap competitions. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Thank you for keeping it with us on UBC TV as we are in the Independence Week, but also focusing on World Teachers Day by appreciating your teacher. Please do that, encourage them, motivate them, and where possible, give a hand. It's time we look at what is happening in the dailies. I have the New Vision Felix as the Daily Monitor, and a very big headline there: Museveni gives Ugandans in Dubai 500 million. And he says he will inject more money, that is to boost their circle. President promises to boost their circle there, Ugandans in Dubai. But also we'll look at the education column up, where Wachiso schools lead in science admission to Makerere. That is Makerere University. Wachiso schools performing better. And still with education, Senior 1 and Senior 5 work. There is chemistry, mathematics, and biology. Pastor accused of impregnating minor. Okay, still the vision brings you how to avoid early gray hair. Okay, not about dying, but just how to avoid that. Then we look at Toro, Prime Minister sued over land sale, and still from Wachiso, police boss held over killing a man. Felix.
Well, Daily Monitor, bail, judiciary hits back at Museveni and 2 arms of government at loggerheads. Now contention over right to bail and constitution guarantees right to bail. Now Ashelin Ndagire, the child fitness champion, but also Uganda makes strong case for investment in Dubai Expo, and Supreme Court stop liquidation of Crane Bank, and in the same way security guns down suspected terrorists. Now still in the Daily Monitor, Susan Kahunde wins Miss Tourism, and Wukoma Simbi Ndiwarana to contest court decision. Now Idi Amin waves to crowds in Kampala after capturing power in 1971, that is from the archives. And today in history, President Obote launches immunization program. And also Apple co-founder Steve Jobs dies, that is in 2011, October.
In the New Vision, looking at the COVID-19 tracker, that is Uganda, 63 new confirmed cases, positivity rate 1.6, new confirmed cases, that is a death, that is 2, and total deaths so far 3,162. Kindly, we can't to remind you, please go for your vaccination so that we can avoid severe illness and death and hospitalization in our country. Still looking at the New Vision, 59 years of independence, Uganda by then and now. They bring you, that is President Museveni escorting Pope John Paul II to his plane as he leaves after a 6-day visit. Still, that was in 1993. Now we look at later, that was in 2015. Crowds cheer Pope Francis as he arrives at Koro airstrip in Kampala on November 28th, the year 2015. Did you know that the name Bakuli, do you know where it came from? The New Vision gives you more of that. And facts or myth regarding COVID-19. There is a question, is coronavirus airborne? The expert answers there.
Now in sports, on the Daily Monitor, Nsubuga wins Uganda Coffee Golf Club and Proskovia back to England. Now familiarity in Uganda versus Rwanda duo, and Women Champs League, we see Baka face Arsenal Open Champions League title, defense in new look. That is of course also Ikonge, that is Makiadi out of Oilers, look to go excuse me, look to go younger, and Crested Crane are their Zambian Olympians. Natalon's double pool clear and docked. Colt now. NMG also sponsors Coffee Golf for villas there.
Looking at the New Vision Sport this morning, we have, that is, winners of the Fort Pitt Rail Stars, and also the new CEO at Villa. Who is the new CEO of this club? There is something for in the New Vision, and a tough call. We see our national coach there, and of course some of the rankings there regarding football and the best 8. Who are they? Well, the New Vision has more for you in the sports. But don't forget, anything to do with sports, Ruben will be here to give you all the updates and the catchy, interesting stories in the sports arena.
Now, of course, the Daily Nation, we're looking at Pandora's box, where we see President Uhuru Kenyatta issued a statement in response to media coverage. There, of course, this report came out implicating a number of world leaders, and among them was the President of Kenya there, Uhuru Kenyatta. Well, of course, that's basically the big headline in the Daily Nation there, but be able to get yourself copies of the dailies. That is Daily Nation, Daily Monitor, and of course the New Vision, and many others for you to catch up with the most current and recent affairs in the papers. Speaking about our current, today's current destination is Kampala. Place destination Kampala, departure, or where Priscilla is what that's what Priscilla is going to be taking us to. Where's the departure? Where's the arrival? Which means you use. Remember when they used to tell us, the teachers, how
Felix,
many means of transport are
I hope Priscilla also will help us just to tell us more about colors of the traffic lights and what they mean. Much you go traffic lights. That is at the junction about what is happening. People, we are getting more accidents than even when we didn't have traffic lights. Someone who cruised through at red, the other at orange, the other at. So please, our traffic officer.
Before we get to that, Robert, do you remember the different modes of transport?
Yes, water, air, then of course you have land, and you're done. You're done.
Robert says water, train, and
and
land. And I'm thinking, does a train move in space or what? Anyway. Oh, he said what?
Train.
Railway.
Water.
Yes, railway, water, and road.
Air.
Okay.
Air.
Yes.
Priscilla.
The planes move.
Clearly, you guys have to go back for video classes, and so the teacher also puts her back at the family a video class. But away from that, we get to have arrivals at Entebbe Airport, which of course will be accessing the heart of the city through the main road, which is Entebbe Highway. And picking it up from Chitende, where we start to see red zones coming in. That is from Chitende around Quality Supermarket, heading into the Kajansi Trading Center is where the tram is starting from. And it's also interfacing with the Kajansi flyover intersection with the Entebbe Express Highway. And so we get to see traffic on that route, but also this traffic that is around Kajansi, around about, and then heading on the way to Chitende and the rest of Entebbe Road. Commuter taxis are most likely responsible for this particular jam because it's just within the trading center of Kajansi. Away from that, it's actually a clear route all the way to Entebbe. But as you know, it may take you 25 to 30 minutes on this particular route. However, if you opted for the Entebbe Express Highway, 5 minutes even, you can be at the airport in 5 minutes. It's that easy and that fast, thanks to the Uganda National Roads Authority. Now, away from that, we want to look at the sense of jam on the rest of Entebbe Road through Seguku and look at alternative routes that you can use to actually avoid the traffic in Seguku. Now, the traffic from Kajansi, Seguku, Namasuba, Najana, Nkombi, Chibuye is day by day going to be heavier than before, simply because of the Kampala flyover that is taking shape. And so
spend more time on these routes. So I would like to show you some routes that you can use alternatively or learn alternatively in your free time. Drive through these routes and get to see how they can help you actually manage the traffic both during morning and evening hours. Now, one of the routes on Entebbe Road from the Kajansi flyover area is Wankurukuku Road. Now, Wankurukuku Road is that particular road that has just recently been tarmacked. It's around Tamales. On the upper side, there's a Tamales company, and so there's a whole new, there's even traffic lights, as Kirabo had stated. There's traffic lights that have been put at this particular part of the road that brings in the traffic that comes in from Wankurukuku Road. Now, if you take the turn to Wankurukuku Road, you get to have Wankurukuku Road taking you through Katale Seguku, and then through Katale Seguku, you get to move and get to the likes of Chitebi, and then from Chitebi you go through Bundamwaya, and then from Bundamwaya you'll enter the area of Nyanama. Now, if you wanted to access Entebbe Road, that's very simple. You connect back to Nyanama Road and you will be back to the Kampala Entebbe Highway. But again, if you're still within these residential areas of Namasuba, Nyanama, Kavoa, Najanankumbi, and there's a lot of traffic on the road still, you get to Nyanama Road and then you come back, you connect to Wankurukuku Road, and you get to avoid the traffic jam that is cumbersome on the other side. So connecting on Wankurukuku Road and depicting of that connection obviously is the traffic, the orange zones that we are starting to see of obviously residential areas and a bit of industrious area for this part of locality between Chitebi and Wankurukuku stage. But then again, it's a wide road now, so it can take in traffic of up to 3 lanes on either side, and so this would be an alternative route for you, and it causes you to actually come and make a connection through Kabusu, after which you can then decide you can either go back to the main routes of Basaka Road through Ndeba, or you can actually continue through Kabusu, connect to Rubaga Road, and then be able to enter town from that part of Rubaga Road, Namirembe, or Rubaga Road onto Old Kampala Road, and then Chagwe Road, and you're into the heart of the city. Or Nalukolongo, Ndeba, and then Chibuye. That way you would have done a good cut-off of the traffic jam, which is what we are seeing this morning. Chibuye roundabout is a dead zone for traffic that is coming in from anywhere, either Mobutu Road, Matinde, or you are coming in from Entebbe Road, or even if you're coming in from Masaka Road. That place is dead right now. A sneak peek into the other red zone that is suffering right now is the Usafi area. Because of the diversionary routes, it's now smaller, less traffic goes through. Kenyatta Molen comes through with weather, nature and climate. Looking at some of the messages that have come through, good morning, Uganda. Yesterday was a miracle day for the .com generation. It was the first time this generation had time to bond together, like Robert did testify. Me, I was the happiest because at least I had the family attention. Okay, Peter Eriarat Angora, thank you so much. You had attention for the first time from your family. That's a good one. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. For me, I realized it's a general problem after resetting my internet settings like 8 times, and you are not alone, by the way. So many people did change internet settings. Allow me to crush on birthday boy Mr. Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono. Thank you for using your position as a senior journalist to do something effective. The story you said of officers on Salama Road was who confiscated the borders and how you did something to stop them was so nice. You really owe me a big hug, and I wish you a contest of mayorship of this city come 2026. Happy birthday, Robert. And this is from Derek Gagamel in Machindia. Okay, thank you so much, Derek. Birthday boy has received his greetings. What is your experience when it comes to the 3 social media apps crashing last night? For Tony Kent Chaze, good morning, folks. Life in tech era was real for the first time. We had forgotten about phone calls and SMSs. Business engagements were put on hold. Zuckerberg didn't cry alone. Thank you, God, we finally got some attention from the app addicts. Okay, app addicts, that's a very interesting one. Very true. Someone would rather send you an SMS than, a WhatsApp than pick up the phone and actually hear the tone of your voice to depict how you are. GMU, thank you for the show. Teachers at the heart of education. No country is better than the quality of its education, and no education is better than the quality of its teachers. Happy Teachers Day to all teachers. Sergeant Bernard, who also goes ahead to comment and say Happy Teachers Day to all my teachers from Kisikisi Primary School and Nachirungu SS in Sironko District. The likes of Nasi Yosara. Sergeant Bernard, thank you so much for your contribution. Now, Molan Kenyana, good morning to you. And who was your favorite teacher and why?
I had a teacher in primary 2. She's called Mrs. Twamawini. She was always the tough one. She had tough love, and that still makes her my favorite. I still love her. Okay.
All right. Yeah. What do you have for us as we continue?
Yes, this morning we want to go ahead and take a look at what the weather prospects will be like. That is for the coming week. We want to look at the forecast in general about the mean temperatures, the rainfall that we're expecting. That is from the 50th up to 12th of this month, just to give you a look ahead and plan accordingly. However, we do keep updating that every morning here. We do give you a forecast for the day. But we will look at what we're expecting in terms of how the temperatures are going to be looking like across the region. And that is the temperature anomalies for the 5th to the 12th of October. I can tell you one thing, we do expect mostly higher temperatures are up at the Horn of Africa, and then we also have most especially northwestern Kenya that is looking into a huge difference within the temperatures. But also looking at the midwestern part of the country, also still in red. But more, I want to concentrate on what we are looking at as mean temperatures. We do have mostly still part of West Nile that is looking like we could be looking at temperatures quite in the 30s. Now, that area has been having mostly lower 20s into the mid 20s, but we're seeing the forecast also showing us that we could be looking at least 28. Now that is normal for this time of the year across West Nile, and looking at us expecting that, I think that there is not going to be anything out of the ordinary, although the anomalies are kind of showing quite a difference within the 1.0 or to actually 1 degree change, but still it is within the normal range. And we also look at how the mean temperatures are looking like. But most areas across the country are actually in the yellow areas, meaning that we could be looking at temperatures still within the normal, like what we've been experiencing for the last week. That is also for the first days of October. Really, temperatures are still looking quite within the normal range. Well, also looking at most areas that we have here, that is mostly southwestern Uganda. It is also expected to have most of these temperatures within the normal range, but still cool weather as expected across that area. We'll also be looking at part of Lake Victoria Basin, that is mostly across Kampala and across Wakiso. That area within central still in blue, meaning that temperatures will be going in the quite lower amounts. You could be looking at 20s, but much of the country is in the yellow. That means the mean temperatures will be around 24 degrees centigrade. Now, also what is interesting about the rainfall, the expected rainfall, that is from the 5th up to 12th of October, we look at areas that are likely to have exceptional rains. Now, exceptional rains means that we could be looking at something still very within the very heavy rainfall range. And the forecast shows at least southwestern Uganda, parts of the western Lake Victoria Basin, and also central, most especially the eastern parts of central. That area is likely to be having, why you see the blue colors, it's likely to be having exceptional rains. That means that we have a likelihood of having heavy downpours across that area. But also we're looking at what we have in terms of total rainfall. Much of the country is actually expected to have rains for this week. However, still where you're seeing the dark green colors, those are the areas where we expect more rains. Still that takes in the central Lake Victoria Basin, eastern parts of central. This is where we have Nakasongola, Ruwero, Wobulenzi. That area can expect to have continuous rains. Then across Midwestern, someone yesterday was asking about Hoima, Toroko, Fort Portal. This area still is in the green zones, so we can expect to have those continuous rains coming down up to southwestern, around Rwenzori area, Kasese, Bwera. That area still is in the green colors, meaning that we expect to have continuous rains, much more compared to the rest of the country, actually, even for the Kabale Highlands. But taking a look at the extreme side of Karamoja region, that area is expected to have reduced wet weather activities. We do have those in the yellow colors. There we do expect to have a little bit of rains, but still that will be less compared to what we have been having across the country, and mostly within medium ranges. Most of the amounts that are expected are actually between 50 to 100, but we also have those from 10 to 30. Now, what is out of the ordinary maybe that we can look out for are those heavy rains predicted. That is for the eastern parts of central, also across southwestern and all across the Kabale Highlands. So you can look out for that, and also continue to know that this is likely to also create flash flooding, especially those areas that are hotspots for flooding. We talk about the Rwenzori region. Whenever we see a forecast that actually is telling us there's likelihood to have heavy rainfall across Rwenzori region, you need to look out for the likelihood of that, and the communities can prepare for something like that. We'll go ahead today and take a look at our satellites that is looking over Uganda and see what the weather is like even right now as we speak. Now we do have that red system that is starting to develop across Lake Victoria. Now that is bringing rains. Surely that is actually already heavy across most areas within the lake. Most of the islands throughout the northwestern part of Lake Victoria. Now this system is continuing, and most likely it will be bringing us rains here for parts of Kampala and much of the Lake Victoria Basin. Looking at it is already extending towards Masaka, Kampala, Wakiso, Entebbe as well. That area is already starting to have that cloudy system developing, and that is likely to be bringing us rains today. Well, also we do have one that is extending towards the Karamoja region. That is also in the red colors, meaning that it will be bringing quite heavier rains across the Karamoja region. You can expect to have that rain system progressing also towards parts of eastern Uganda. But elsewhere in the country, it looks like we're having mostly sunny intervals. We do have clear skies for West Nile, Gulu. That area is already experiencing sunny conditions. Also for southwestern Uganda and also Kabale Highlands, we're seeing only clear skies, quite a sunny start off into the day. But we see clouds starting to build up across central and also for midwestern Uganda, and that is likely to also continue throughout the morning, although parts of midwestern are actually likely to have mostly rainy conditions. But we are taking a look at this system. We'll keep an eye on it, but this is what is likely to be bringing us rains later this morning across this area. We'll go ahead and take a look at our forecast for different areas across the country. But we're already seeing also one of those systems moving in towards the Elgon region. Now starting off with central northern Uganda, that is Gulu, Kitgum, Padel and Adjumani, we are forecasting sunny intervals, likely to start off with a cold morning at 25 degrees centigrade, and we also have Padel in that category. Now we look at southwestern Uganda, where we have Mbarara, Ibanda, Bushenyi and Rubirizi. We're forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, starting off with a cool 25 degrees centigrade. Now moving on, we are looking at eastern parts of central, already starting to develop those cloudy conditions. We're likely to have rain setting this morning, starting off at 25 degrees centigrade. Quite a cool morning compared to what we had yesterday. Now that system is also likely to continue into the afternoon. That is across Ruwero, Wobulenzi, Nakaseke. We do have Nakasongola in that category as well. Eastern Uganda, where we have Soroti, Katakwi, Muria and Kumi, we're forecasting isolated rains. Those will be mostly across a few places, at least 20% of the forecast area. Starting off with a cool 25 degrees centigrade, we do expect that system as well to continue into the afternoon, so you can expect to have rains throughout the day. Now looking at the western part of Lake Victoria, where we have Masaka, Kalisizo, Sembabule, Rakai, that area is already starting to develop some of those rains. We do expect those to continue into the morning, starting off at 25 degrees centigrade. Now, so looking at Mount Elgon Highlands, already having those cloudy conditions, and those will develop into rainy conditions for this morning, starting off at 24. We do expect that to actually also continue into the afternoon. You can look out for that, and temperatures will remain equally low. Now looking at Eastern Lake Victoria Basin, we do have Tororo, we have Busia, Igenga and Jinja. That is also expected to have rains as the morning continues. Right now we're dealing with just a mix of clouds and sunshine, but we do expect those rains, and those will start off at 26 degrees centigrade. Now back here in Central Lake Victoria Basin, where we have Kampala, Entebbe, Wakiso and Mukono, we're forecasting those isolated showers. They are coming your way, and you can look out for that. We do have temperatures starting off at a chilly 25 degrees centigrade. We do expect this system to also redevelop in the afternoon, and that is likely to bring us rains also later in the day, so you can look out for that. Now, it is a perfect time if you're leaving home. Please do prepare for that. Do not get dressed in layers. The temperatures are equally cool, and also for those wet weather activities that are expected, so you can plan accordingly. Well, I'll leave you at that. We do have Good Morning Uganda agenda coming up. Robert is ready to take you through that, but also remember that you can catch us on our social media platforms. Yes, they are back. So on Twitter you can get us at UBC TV Uganda, and also we're streaming live on YouTube. That is UBC Television Uganda. My name is Molin Kenyana. Have a good morning.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Central Points when you deposit, send and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2020.